Hello and welcome to Your Mindset Reset. My name is Bianca DeLuco and this is the Live Life Extraordinary podcast. Today on the podcast, we're exploring why having a positive mindset helps us to live a positive life and some ways that you can start to rewire your mindset if you've been stuck in a negative mindset. In spiritual and metaphysical spaces, we often hear the concept thoughts create things, which might sound a little woo-woo at first, but it's actually backed by science and psychology. The way that we think influences the way that we feel, and the way that we feel influences the actions that we take in our lives, and the actions that we take in our lives have a direct result on what we experience in our everyday life. So if you're thinking negatively and feeling negatively, you're probably not taking as much action towards the life that you desire to live. In those same spaces, we also often hear things like what you focus on grows, which can again be supported by neuroscience. In neuroscience, it's shown that neurons that fire together wire together. And we have this thing called neuroplasticity that says the more we focus on certain things, that the firing between those neurons gets stronger and becomes more automatic. So if you're constantly focusing on the negative aspects of your life, your brain is going to be wired to automatically notice the negative things about your life. Additionally, our minds have a reticular activating system, also known as a RAS, which acts as our brain's filter. At every point in time, there's millions of bits of information coming in through your five senses. Like right now, you probably don't notice how the waistband of your clothes feels on your body, but now that I've mentioned it, you probably do. Our brain knows what to filter out based on what we're typically focusing on. There's a fun experiment you can do to even prove this. I encourage you over the next 24 hours to notice how many yellow cars you see in your environment. I bet tomorrow, more than any other day, you're going to notice that your neighbor has a yellow car, there's yellow cars at your work, there's yellow cars at the drive-thru, at the grocery store, everywhere you go, you're going to see yellow cars. And it's not that yellow cars are suddenly very popular, but it's that you flagged it as important, so your reticular activating system is paying more attention to all of those yellow cars. Our RAS is super important because if there's something that you desire to experience in your life, but you have a negative mindset about it, it's going to filter out the opportunities to experience that. Like if you're looking for job opportunities, but you keep telling yourself that there's nothing available, you might not notice the job posting at your favorite cafe. If you're looking for love, but you constantly tell yourself how hard dating is, you might not notice the person that you run into at the grocery store that might be a perfect match for you. Opportunity is everywhere, but we're only able to see it if our mindset is aligned with those opportunities. So here are 4 ways to start improving your mindset. Number 1, practicing gratitude. Sometimes it's a little hard to feel grateful when our circumstances don't align with what it is that we desire. But I can guarantee no matter how hard your circumstances are, there's always something you can find to be grateful for. Maybe that's your health, or the roof over your head, or a close friend who's always there to support you. Sometimes it's hard to feel grateful when we don't have those things specifically, especially our basic needs being met. But the more we're focusing on those positive things that we appreciate in our life, the more we're building that neuroplasticity to recognize more of the great things that are happening in our world. And if you watched last week's episode on energy, you might remember that gratitude is one of the most positive emotions that we can experience as humans. So by practicing gratitude, we're not just rewiring our minds, but we're improving the way that we feel emotionally as well. Oprah Winfrey has this great quote that says, if you focus on what you have, you'll end up having more. But if you focus on what you don't have, you'll never, ever have enough. There's many different ways to practice gratitude. You can list 3 things when you wake up and 3 things before you go to bed. You can set alarms on your phone to remind you to practice gratitude throughout the day. One of my personal favorite things to do is a gratitude dump where you write down everything you can think of to be grateful for. Even something as small and as silly as your hairbrush, because how crazy would your hair look if you didn't have a hairbrush? You'll probably find by doing a gratitude dump that there's a lot more to appreciate in your life than you even recognize. Number 2 is affirmation. A lot of times when affirmations are talked about, we explore ideas like writing an affirmation on a post-it note that we stick on our mirror, or changing our phone screen background to mirror an affirmation, or sitting in meditation and repeating an affirmation over and over and over again. And while those things can be really helpful in changing the way that we think and feel, I find personally that affirmation works better when I'm using it in a moment-to-moment situation. So for an example, if I am out to dinner with a couple of friends and they get in a kind of an argument and I'm feeling this pull to either take a side or smooth it out so that it feels a little bit better, I might pause and instead say to myself, you're not responsible for other people's emotions. You're not responsible for this situation. It's safe to be in discomfort, and other similar things like that. I like to talk to myself as if I was talking to a close friend who is struggling with the same or similar situation. Doing this really helps us change the way that we're thinking about our everyday situations. Another great way to use this is if you're someone who has a hard time saying no and says yes too many times to please other people and support them while abandoning yourself, is to affirm to yourself, you can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. And when you do say no and you're worried about them being upset, going back to that self-affirmation of, I'm not responsible for other people's feelings. I can only be in integrity with myself. How they receive it and respond is not my responsibility. Having those conversations with yourself helps you rewire the way that you're thinking and the actions that you're taking and decisions that you're making in your everyday life. This requires a lot of presence and a lot of practice. So if it feels a little awkward or uncomfortable at first, don't be too hard on yourself. Being hard on yourself is kind of the exact opposite of what we're trying to do. Number 3 is taking care of your body. There's a lot of evidence to support the mind-body connection. You know that when you feel stressed, you start to feel that tightness in your shoulders. Or when you're feeling anxious, you might feel butterflies in your belly. The same way that your mind is communicating with your body and causing physical symptoms to take place, your body is also communicating with your mind. There's a lot of evidence to specifically support the gut-brain connection. Our stomach is even sometimes referred to as a second brain. So when we're eating nutritional food, it helps our minds be clear and positive as well. And when we're not eating such great food, it definitely has a major toll on our mindset. Movement, sleep, hydration, all other things that are part of our physical health have a major impact on our mental health as well. And the last one, number 4, doing an audit of everything you're consuming. We just discussed how the food we're consuming has an impact on our mindset, but you have to think about everything that you put in is what's coming out. So if you're bringing in negativity through news, media, television, relationships, that's what you're going to be putting out through your mindset as well. You have to think about nourishing your body and your mind with positive things that help move you in a positive direction. I'd love to hear from you. If there's something else that you do to help you rewire your mindset and think more positively, drop it in the comments below. And if this episode supported or inspired you, I encourage you to subscribe to the podcast, as new episodes like this will be put out every week. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Live Life Extraordinary podcast. I can't wait to connect with you again soon.